Welcome to Face to Face, and today we are talking with Anna Dioguardi from the Queen's Community House about the Flushing Meadows Park and the whole process of what's happening there. Anna, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hope you're doing well. And you just be nominated in some board of the new organization. Can you tell me more?
Sure. So a few weeks ago, the mayor came out to Queens to announce the official formation of the Flushing Meadows-Corona Park Alliance, which will act similar to like the Prospect Park Alliance or even the Central Park Conservancy. It's like a public-private partnership that will hopefully bring more resources to the park.
And organization and structure to manage the park.
And structure to manage the park. So the Parks Department is still involved, but then there's also an executive board that will have the job of fundraising private funds to complement the capital funds and the public funds that come to the park. And then a big component, one of the things that the community really pushed for, and Queens Community House and other members of the Fairness Coalition were really fighting for when we were looking to protect the park from private development, was more community involvement in what projects get selected for the park. So there's a community advisory board that is part of the new Park Alliance. And we had our first meeting last week, and I was nominated one of the two co-chairs of that group.
So I mean, it's all. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago. No, we had to fight to stop the process of a new development using the parkland. So all of this come from that story.
Yeah. So the founding money for the Park Alliance is coming from the U.S. Tennis Association, which is a leaseholder in the park. And in 2012, 2013, they were negotiating to expand their footprint in the park, and so
they did actually. No, they got some.
They did. They were able to expand, and the city council and council member Julissa Ferreras in Corona negotiated with them, and a huge part of the negotiation was that if they were going to expand, that they had to give some money back. So they've pledged, I think it's about $10 million over 20 years to get the Alliance off the ground, kind of the seed money for the Alliance.
And it was at that moment, it was 2 years ago, no?
This
a year and a half?
2012, 2013.
Yeah, the project was to build a stadium for soccer, and then to expand part of but it was to take like 50% of the space of the park and then transforming it to...
Yeah, at that time there were three projects that were all kind of coalesced at the same time. One was a proposal by Major League Soccer to build a whole stadium in the park. One was the expansion of the tennis stadium. And then the other was part of the Willets Point project that involved a mall on the parking lot of Citi Field, which is actually parkland.
Yeah. And so but give us a little bit figures about the park itself. How many people are using the park? I mean, it's a huge. It's during the summer. It's just unbelievable.
It's the biggest park in Queens, and it's I think one of the most used parks in the city. Definitely in Queens. There's 6 community boards that touch the park in some way or another. So it encompasses a huge amount of people, but also a large diversity of people and neighborhoods. So you see that in the park with all the different sports being played and just the many different ways that people use the park. It's an incredible place, and it's also it's essential to many of the communities surrounding the park, especially in like Corona and Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, have some of the highest rates of childhood obesity in the city. They have the lowest amount of green space in those neighborhoods. So a park like this,
and it's a very low income neighborhoods. I mean, Corona, it's really
Right.
It's maybe one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. So
right. So for a lot of people, this park is their salvation on the weekends and a way to get out and enjoy time with family and have just fresh air and open space and be out of their often crowded living conditions too.
So what's gonna happen next to the park? It's a long project in the long road to go, or what?
Yeah. So this is hopefully something that will outlive all of us, the Alliance.
Because this type of project with the city and then the...
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of raising private funds for a park, I know there's a lot of arguments on both sides about whether or not that's the best way to approach things. One of the benefits is that private funds have a lot less restrictions and a lot less bureaucracy. So whereas if you get capital money for a project in the park, it can take years to actually go through the approval process and be drawn down from the government.
I know. I tried with budget participation, and it's a nightmare. It's very complicated.
Yeah. So the hope is that if there's several, again, like the main function of the executive board is to start trying to raise some of that money, and then. What I see as the main role of the community advisory board is to start really generating the ideas and the priorities for the park.
Yeah.
So our hope is that I know many of us that are new and becoming part of the community advisory board is that our hope is that we can have a participatory visioning process where we get all the park users involved in saying what they would like to see in the park and park improvements, and hopefully that means, little by little, there'll be some changes. A lot of the other park conservancies or alliances also often use some of their fundraised money to pay for extra maintenance staff.
Yeah, I think maintenance is a big issue because the park itself, I think people find a way to do what they want to do in the park, but the maintenance is quite complicated.
And right now there's only 22 full-time paid maintenance staff for
huge
just
space.
Acres and acres of space. So, and there's some seasonal employees, but at the height of the season, it's very noticeable that there needs to be more to that. So a lot of the way that some of the other bigger parks, definitely Central Park and Prospect Park, look so different is because they're highly subsidized.
The money it's no comparison.
I mean, the Prospect Park Alliance, I think now has an operating budget of around $8 million. And this alliance is starting out with a budget of $300,000. Exactly. So we have a long way to go. But
no. But I mean, it's if we have to compare what is it's not comparable. I mean, it's really.
But the Prospect Park Alliance has been in existence for over 30 years, so we have.
And then you have the U.S. Open, and then you have the stadium, and then you have the circus in some moment, and then you have. I mean, it's a very used space. I mean, it's
and so the hope is that by creating this alliance, and one of the things that the council members regularly saying is that even if in the past, even if any of these entities that are leaseholders in the park or are using the park for different things, even if they did want to give back, there wasn't exactly the structure to be able to do
to
it.
Organize it very well,
a lot of times what's happening is that if they're quote unquote giving to Flushing Meadows Park, it's actually going to the park's general fund, and that could be used citywide, and we don't know what's happening to it. So
I know it was a frustration of the council member at some point. She asked a question about like how many people are rented and have the data, and it took forever to get information, and she was very, very frustrated about what it costs to maintain the park, how many staff do we need, and she never got the information from the park department. So people are rented and have the data, and it took forever to get information, and she was very, very frustrated about what it costs to maintain the park, how many staff do we need, and she never got the information from the park department. So. But
I think now Parks is involved in this alliance. The commissioner, the new commissioner of the parks is the chairperson of the executive board of the alliance, and they seem to be involved and interested in getting this off the ground and looking at it as a way that they can help to improve the park.
So I mean, it's good news, no?
It's good news. I think everything, we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. But I think as long as we can get some really good community involvement, really push for the power
because
of
it was a lot of work. I remember it was a lot of action to stop the process of the stadium, and now I see it going somewhere. It's great.
Well, and the hope is that if there is a well-organized, and that's why I go back to the community advisory board. I think if that group is well-organized and shows that it has legitimacy and power, then that influences the executive board, and then when it would hopefully then avoid some of the things that we've dealt with in the past. So would then an organization like Major League Soccer approach a park like this to do a project like the one they wanted to do if they knew that it was a better organized or there was...
That would have been very different.
That's our hope too, is that it can maybe affront some of that controversy. So
okay, so we have to see next time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Thanks, David.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Same here.
Okay, so this is the show for today. Thank you very much for watching, and you can watch your news on presenza.com. Thank you.